Along with Bobby, we're going to be doing the early slate preview, and we are live. So feel free to pop in any questions. And I'd like to talk about last night just a little bit.
As would I.
Yeah. So with respect to process, and selfishly, I kind of like doing this early preview so that I can get an idea of what I think I want to do, and then compare it to what we actually do when we you know fire it up at 6. And I like kind of talking through these things. So that's why I talk through it with Bobby, and selfishly that helps me. And when I talk through it with you guys, it helps me as well. And so yesterday I decided that listen, those whatever that value was going to be, the Pacers and the Pistons, I was going to kind of use that as whatever, and then just kind of figure out which games to kind of target and just stack the crap out of all of them. And I identified the Phoenix game against Golden State. I like that one. I like the Sacramento game, and then I like the Houston game, where I was just going to just play the three freaking highest scoring guys, run it back with Tatum and Brown, just kind of be done with it, see what happens. And so when we got to 6 o'clock, what was different was only that Kyrie was out. So that was just one other game that instead of using that for spend ups, you would use that for value. Like you would lock in Hardy and be kind of done with it. So I actually followed through, and I did exactly what I was going to do. And I want to show you kind of what happened. So this was actually the sixth man. I put it in the 600, and I played the obvious stuff, the Hayes, Hardy, and I played Duarte. Well, if you got hurt, what are you going to do, right? And I did exactly what I said. I played all three of these guys, Jabari Smith, Porter, and Green. And then I was decided whether I was going to play Tatum or Brown as the Boston guy. So in this particular one, I played Brown, but I played Tatum in some of the smaller ones, whatever. And then I didn't know what else to do with the rest of my money. And I remember that you liked Ayton a lot. So it just fit in just 100% perfectly. And this is like some serious tilt here because I don't know if anybody was watching the game, but nobody was watching it because nobody owned it because all the guys were like 4% owned. All the Houston guys, nobody was even cared.
Yeah.
But the Houston was up 2 points with 7 seconds to go, and 99% of the time a team has the ball down 2, they'll go for 3. So it's like overtime. I'm like, it's kind of a pipe dream. But in this particular situation, Tatum got the ball. They played literally no defense. He walked to the rim and missed a wide open layup with 1 second to go. To that would have brought these guys to overtime. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily would have won, but I'll tell you this: that would have been fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It would have been fun to find out. And not only that, but you see this actual lineup. I had a lineup in the fadeaway with this exact thing, but with Umar Narani instead of Duarte. So extra 20 points on that one. So I don't know what would have happened, but that would have been a hell of a lot of fun to find out. So that's my whole speech. It's more towards process, and I was kind of happy I followed through with it. That was all.
Yeah, I think it's really good. And I was at first thing when I saw that game, that Houston was up big. I was like, oh, Sheets is because Boston will come back. I was like, Sheets is in good shape here. So I actually think that was a really good process. I just to add to your thing, and this is more my issue with my play last night. I mean, and I understand it's easy to say like with, at hindsight, but I did say over and over again yesterday that the whole Duarte thing felt very, very scary to me. And yet I played a ton of them. And I feel like for myself, I'm not happy with my own process when I'm playing a guy who I'm recommending, hey, this ownership and these projections are way overdone. They've got 10 guys they can play. He's sort of interchangeable with the other guys they bring off the bench. And I just didn't go with it enough, and it cost me. I mean, I finished 19th in the Monster on FanDuel, but Duarte was in that lineup, which if I play Omar Rui, I finished second, which would have been nice. And there's a lot of that. And I did like Omar Rui, and I didn't like Duarte, so I just was annoyed at myself for ending up with as much of him as I did. That was my biggest process thing. I also just about bubbled the 600. I just missed cashing the 600 with one of my 2 entries, and I just missed cashing the splash and the 100. So it was not a good night for me on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I cashed in every tournament, so I was happy over there.
Yeah, look at this. This was the you just missed. That's right. Look at this. And what else are you going to do? I mean, you had Fox and Giannis. I mean, that was
Fox, Giannis, and Sabonis. I had either Fox or Sabonis with Giannis in most of my lineups by the end of the day. So it was just a little bit tough. And Chris Paul had a rough game for a while. Then they came back and he started doing a little better. But just was one of those nights where you couldn't quite get there, and where I couldn't quite get there, and ready to try and improve on it tonight. I'm sure there's information that we'll find out later that we don't know. As it's important, like to this time of year, to really remember what teams are playing for or not playing for. And I think that's just something I want to keep preaching in everybody's head every day. The process I still think the process was really, like, you used yours really well. I didn't use mine well. When I dislike someone who's going to be that chalky that much, I need to stop playing him. And it was reflective with Duarte and the higher buy-ins. Like, the lower down you went, like in the $4, I think he was like 50-something% owned or 60% owned, something like that. Then he goes down to 45% in the other one, and then 30% in the big one, which just gives you a feeling like usually the sharper people are not going to be on that as much. So I was happy with my take. I was not happy with my enforcement of it.
One other thing that you were really right about, by the way, was that you thought the Hardy value was just much better than all the others.
Yeah, Hardy and Green, I said.
How did Green do?
48.
Oh God. Okay.
He smashed. A lot of guys smashed last night. It was a high-scoring night. The nights that we'd usually be cashing on 6 or 7 gamers with the scores we had last night.
Killian Hayes at 28 in the first half, ended up at 30.
Who did?
Killian Hayes.
Oh, I know. They just got smoked too badly.
Yeah, but they ended up put him back in the fourth, and he couldn't do anything in the fourth either.
The other side, they smoked Indiana too badly. But yeah, so anyway, on to today. It's a pretty, or at first look, like, this is I think a much, much better slate than it was yesterday. Like, and not to say you like good or bad is what I want to be able to make decisions more than just one, hopefully. And more than one or two or a 2v2. I don't like every night that comes down to that same 2v2 swap when there's totally different builds. But like you pointed out last night, which Sheets with your lineup with the Houston Boston thing, just completely no ownership. I mean, that's a great call. Like, if you actually implement that and you're doing it in your big buy-ins, I mean, I honestly feel like you should have won last night. Like, that's
right.
I mean, that looked like the kind of lineup where I would have been tilting myself. Just, man, what could have been? Yeah. Either without Duarte or with overtime.
Well, I didn't even care about Duarte because everybody had him. You know what I mean?
Well, but no, only 37% and 30. And then if you had Omari Sheets, you would have been.
Yeah. Then yep.
So just one of those things, but we'll go back. We'll get back after today. So that's why sometimes these, just to point out, these videos can be useful, even if this time of year it gets, by the end it feels like, oh, nothing we said matters. It still matters. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you something else, by the way. And again, a shout out to everybody that's on these chats. The more people that show up for these things, the better, especially the late thing, because I will tell you, I don't remember who it was in the chat, but it was somebody's comment in the chat, really, that tipped me from playing Tatum as the Celtic guy to Jaylen Brown. And I went to Jaylen Brown instead. Jaylen Brown's a guy I always just want to say forget about. You know what I mean? Because when I think of, okay, I'm going to play these guys, I'm going to run back with the Celtics, obviously I'm going to play Tatum, who else am I going to, I keep forgetting that Jaylen Brown is not that much worse. You know what I mean? And you saved 1,000 like that. So it's and then I was able to get up to 8 in that way. So which was good.
Yep, absolutely.
And by the way, DeAndre Ayton had like 4 fantasy points after the first quarter.
I know, and we're going to see that happen with some of these guys. Sometimes it's just the way it is. I mean, in all fairness, I think the whole team only had like 10 fantasy points. They were down by 30 points. Right. What's really gross too is I played 20% Klay Thompson last night, and in the first half, Klay Thompson had 45. He made 8 threes in the first half. Ended up with like 53, but he was 1% owned. Always nice to get the 1%ers on slates like that. So I had a lot of things later in the night that I thought would have helped, but the truth is that the Duarte and some of the early business that I did was just a little bit off. Although I identified a lot of the right pieces, just not all of it. And coming off of RJ Hampton felt really bad too, because he put up like 27 at 3,300, and he was in a lot of winning lineups. So anyway, we move on to tonight with Cleveland, Charlotte, starting things off. And guys, I did say, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. I also do want to talk about better takes a little bit as far as it comes to betting. I had a really lousy betting night. It was probably my worst betting night in probably like the last 6 months or so. I think I went like 1-6 or something like that. But they have really helped me with my overall game, and I think this is a really, really, really valuable site. So I'm going to attach the Better Takes Discord in here and make sure to get some of you guys joined in yesterday. We're running NBA betting contests every week. You pick 20 games throughout the week, and the winner. We're just doing bragging rights right now. We'll do some sort of fun little prize a little bit later down the road, but right now we're just doing bragging rights. Anyway,
I got something else to talk about. With so much going on, I totally forgot that I think DFS Chan is having his bracketologist come on, or he did already. I didn't even look.
I heard he was going to do it. I thought it was today, but I haven't checked yet.
Yeah, I mean that's what's cool. I guess we have so much going on. I don't even know what it is.
And I think there's some tournaments going on for DFS, which I have to look into after a little later today. I'll have some time and see what we've got for DFS for college basketball, because I kind of like to get back into it this year for some reason, especially because I think my Bruins are going to win the title. So
well, and last thing is that I'm going to be doing a March Madness Survivor Pool video tomorrow, and I think Jayhawk's going to be on there with me. Just too many people have asked me to do it, and Adam Perry comes in saying, you know, any pools, and there's actually a pool that I entered, and they asked me if I knew if that it was opening up to more people, so I put the email in the Discord if people wanted to fire that pool up. Anyway, yeah, it's a lot going on. All right, you want to get into this to Lamar Stevens being the
yeah. Why don't you start
on the slate? I mean, why you want to talk about that? I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah. Jump into it to start, and I'm just posting a few things in the chat.
Yeah, so Cleveland, Charlotte. I mean, I have to say, I'm not particularly interested in a world where Lamar Stevens is the chalk. Is chalk. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. He is rated to be so far one of the top 2 point per dollar plays at this very, very early stage. But I just feel as though I would rather. I don't want to play this guy with like the high usage guys on the court. Now you're going to get. I imagine it's probably. I'm just guessing. He probably played a bunch of minutes in the last game. Yeah. So he played 30 minutes in his last game, and he got 21 fantasy points. Okay, so that was once. I mean, does that mean that's going to happen a lot? I mean, every other game I see 14, 13. These are my fantasy points: 14, 13, 19, 15. I don't know. I'm not too drawn to this play, if you want to know the truth. But from my sheets and projections wise, it certainly looks like the top point per dollar play. Then you get Nick Richards, who is being priced up a little bit to 5K. Yet I still have him as being very, very reasonable. So those are the two kind of like values from this game. As far as spend ups go, I still have Mobley as kind of a good play. He disappointed the other day. He was, I think it was a weekend game with Jared Allen out. Evan Mobley was extremely popular, and he did play like a full 40 minutes. Or was this 2 games before? I forget. Yeah, he played a full 40 minutes. He only had 35. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't too happy with that. Nonetheless, he's still projecting me to be a good play with Allen out. And then I guess you also always have to consider Garland and Mitchell. The latter at 9,600, always seemingly carrying no ownership. So you get Donovan Mitchell against Charlotte with no ownership. I probably have to take a shot. As far as spend ups in Charlotte, I guess Rozier would be the one I would go to. But I just, maybe why not? I don't know. Just pile one up, put Rozier and Mitchell together, and have some fun with that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what to do with this game. I understand the Richards thing. Obviously, at first look, he's going to show up as a really good play. He is their only big. Wonder if it's funny because we keep talking about how everybody keeps saying all year long, and it's true. Charlotte was the worst team ever against bigs all year long. But it's improved a little bit with Mark Williams and Nick Richards instead. They're not quite as they're not giving up 75 fantasy point games every night anyway. I'm all of the guys on Charlotte, I'm just saying, other than Richards, I'm just saying, okay, maybe I'll take a wild swing there. I'm just not getting too much right now. I do like I still do like Mobley. I don't think that it's like some sort of a lock play or anything, but I like Mobley. I don't really see the need to rush to anything else. Right now, Lamar Stevens is showing up as chalk. My bet is that by the time the slate's locked, unless the news comes out later, that Lamar Stevens is going to end up being virtually unowned on this slate. I just have a feeling other value is going to pop up. We do also have Garland below 8K, but unfortunately, like that one little difference, but if he was 8,179 is nothing in terms of real salary, but in terms of projection and the fact that people see him below 8K is going to make him a little bit interesting. And I'm okay with him. I think it's a fine matchup for him. So I don't have anybody as a massive must-play priority, but I do think that Mobley, Garland, and Richards are my three favorites. And I'm willing to re-examine this one later on. It looks like I just got a message. I wasn't going to be available for live tonight. I don't think I will be available from 6 to 6:30, but I might be available right after. So I might be able to pop.
I think you and I might be heading in there at the exact same time, actually. So.
Okay, so we might both be a little bit late for the really live before lock. Live up to lock.
We'll see. I like practice today. I thought Tuesdays and Thursdays would kind of be rough, but I'll scoot back. We'll see when I get back.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. So let's move on to the next one. We've got
before we do that, there's one other guy that I just neglected to mention who's really, really cheap, and that's Ricky Rubio. So he's 3,300. I mean, listen, you prefer to play him obviously with these other guys out, but I mean, I still have this illusion, I guess, of him having like big upside here. So I don't know. He's showing up as an okay point per dollar play, and people are going to go play Lamar Stevens. I mean, I guess his minutes are a little bit better, but I don't know. I don't think Rubio's completely washed up in this freaking matchup. I don't know. I figured I would throw him into the pile.
Just where does he play? Like Stevens is going to play what? Probably 30, 32, 36 minutes.
Well, why is that? Why is he going to do that?
He's starting for them, and that's what he plays.
Well, he did that once.
Not with Jared Allen out. This is the same situation. I would actually put an increase on his minutes from last time. I think 30 is like right, not the minimum. Well, the reason he won't is because Chetty Osman will play some minutes, not a ton.
Okay.
Karis LeVert, Ricky Rubio. It's just weird to me that if we play Ricky Rubio now and like people weren't even playing him when they didn't have Garland, just kind of feels a little odd. But I'm okay with the idea at first look. My guess is that there's going to be much better value. You could say that maybe it's a blowout or something, but the truth is it's only 7.5 point spread, and Charlotte has been really feisty. I think they're like 500 in their last 20 games, or right around there. Okay, so next up we've got Detroit at Washington. You want to start us off here, Sheets? I'm still trying to.
Yes, just to let everybody know, I don't know whether this came out 5 minutes ago or 5 hours ago, but I just noticed on my phone that Kuzma was ruled out.
Kuzma was ruled out. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? You want to come back to this one after we do the next one because I don't think the projections have updated yet.
No, that's okay. Because listen, the projections.
Well, I would rather do that if it's okay with you because I'd like to see get a little bit of an idea of what they're.
Okay. Well, we got to remember though, because Detroit has all that same value that we have to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just do Denver, Toronto, then we'll jump back to it.
Okay. Denver, Toronto. Nikola Jokic at 11.6 is very reasonable spend up. I have, there are 4 of them that I think are pretty well in play, and I think he's one of them. He's right near the top as far as I'm concerned. Anybody else from Denver? I think Bruce Brown had an okay game the other day. I don't know if Reggie Jackson's been getting there. Those are the types of things I just kind of don't want to do. For me, it's probably Jokic or nothing. On Toronto,
they made Reggie Jackson like 4,800 for some reason. I can't figure it out.
Yeah,
he was 3,500. Now he's 4,800 for some reason. I don't know why.
Fred VanVleet's always kind of in the mix at 8,400, but kind of a low total it seems. I don't know. Maybe Jokic or nothing. I'm just not into this game for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's playing Jokic tonight for what it's worth. The projection is terrible on him. I'm not buying it, but I actually think we've gotten the big Jokic back the last couple games out. He put up 87 and 77. Yeah, how hard not to have some interest, some level of interest there, you know? And there's nothing outliery about any of it. Jamal Murray is also in play, but I don't think he's a priority by any means. It's a tough matchup for him. I would like to get somebody from Toronto, but it's just, I mean, look, we know Siakam's price keeps dropping and people keep trying it. It's not working. There's a reason. He's not the same guy with Podol there. It takes away his rebounds. They do the screen and roll with Podol all the time with Van Fleet. So it's just you're not getting the same full Siakam experience. Now he's going to break through for a 60 at some point. I have no reason to think it's going to be tonight. It could be, but there's nothing logical about it. So basically it leaves pretty much an uninterested Toronto on the Toronto side of it. Really, you know, a good real life basketball game, but nothing that I'm overly excited about playing in DFS. All right, shall we move on?
Yeah. So I have Brooklyn OKC next.
Okay.
Is Shea still out? Shea is not still out.
No, Shay's or supposed to be.
So I have him. Boy, they priced him down here, huh? Shea at 9,400 might be intriguing. I mean, he's showing up as kind of under some of these other guys, but I don't know. He still seems to have that kind of ceiling. It's a close spread. I kind of like him. Brooklyn, Mikal Bridges, 7,800.
What did they do to Shea's price? Why did they make it 9,400?
That's what I'm asking. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Sorry. I'm just I guess I'm just going with you on it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And then I guess that's Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't want to play him. I don't want to play Claxton. I don't want to play Dinwiddie at 7,800.
I want to play Dinwiddie.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm interested in playing Shea. And also, you can play Shea and Dinwiddie. That's something you could do. So that would be my advice. If you play Dinwiddie, to play Shea also. That would be my advice there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out these Mikal Bridges minutes because that's the one thing that's throwing me off in this game is that you announce the guy has a minutes limit, and they've said it twice. One game he plays 12 minutes in the first quarter, but that was the game they bought in the whole bench to play. Just sort of like gave over the game, which they almost won. And then he played 46 minutes and 38 minutes the last two games. So I really am having trouble trying to figure that one out. It does make me have a little less interest in Dinwiddie, who I really like. I also think that if you're not playing Dinwiddie, I do think that Bridges is completely in play. We've seen him a lot more aggressive, a lot more active, a lot more part of the running the offense on Brooklyn than we ever saw in Phoenix, and all of these guys look great to be decent. Cam Johnson. Royce O'Neal they priced up, which is a little unfortunate because I felt like we were getting a steal on Royce O'Neal when he was at 3,800 because there's just so many paths. They just really like him. He's been with them the whole year. He may not start, but he's going to play his 30 minutes. And at 5K, not as interesting as it was at 3,800. So the guy who I'm trying to figure out is do I want to I actually think everybody looks just good enough to where I think Dinwiddie's my favorite, followed by Bridges. And then Cam Johnson. But I also think Claxton might end up being the better of all these guys. I just think that there's going to be some other guys, other centers we'll talk about. So I'm definitely interested in the Brooklyn side yet. Right now, if I had to pick one, I'd pick Dinwiddie. But I'm okay with potentially getting a little game stack in here and playing Shea on the other side. I'm guessing these early projections have to be off with Shea at 9,400 and not getting ownership. I just don't see how that's possible. You do have Jalen Williams coming back, who's sort of killed Shea and or not coming back, but playing. Shea and Giddey's upside, it just isn't the same with Jalen Williams in there. But still, at 9,400, it's going to be hard for me not to have some exposure to Shea. Large field, Jalen Williams is Jalen with a Y. Williams would be a good play to me. But I think Shea with two of the Brooklyn guys on the other side is certainly a good way to go. And Shea's the first guy I have as a clear priority spend up for me right now. All right. So do you want to go back now or let's do the other 5 o'clock game, then we'll do it. The Orlando or the two other 5 o'clock games, then we'll go back. You have Orlando, San Antonio, or the Lakers first?
I have Lakers, New Orleans.
All right. As I always mention, and not to say they can do much about it, these are the most important games for New Orleans. The Lakers are still just if the Lakers lose, they'll drop down to the 12 seed. If the Lakers win, they could move up to the 8 seed. So this is a big game, and New Orleans gets the Lakers pick for those who don't know. New Orleans also gets their own pick for those who don't know. So this is a game where New Orleans, I think, this is whatever we think is questionable. Anybody who's available to play is going to try to play, especially when you factor in Brandon Ingram and his incredible history versus the Lakers, because since they got rid of him. So I kind of would like to do something here, but the pricing is making it a little bit tough on the New Orleans side. And then on the Lakers side, I think that I don't understand what I'm seeing in terms of why Davis would be as low owned as he is. Do you have the same type of take?
I think Davis gets 80 in this game.
I think he's gonna crush. I don't understand why. Like if he doesn't get hurt, which by the way, if he does, oh man, in New Orleans, that's not a good look.
No.
I think Davis is your other clear spend up along with Shea, and then Shea, Jokic, and Davis all look like really, really good spend ups to me. Not really getting to anything else on the Lakers. I think D'Angelo Russell is definitely worth a tournament play because he can always a heat check guy. I think Larry Nance is kind of interesting at 3,500, assuming that he's back, and I think he'll play today. So I like that for value. And then if assuming Brandon Ingram plays, which I'm going to assume, I'm going to be willing to take a shot at overspending on Ingram, but kind of was hoping I'd have more from this game. But right now, it just seems like Davis is just a smash play.
Yeah, nasty mistake I made in last time the Lakers played. I shouldn't say mistake. I guess I was just wrong. I had a 1v1 left at about the same price, and I picked quickly over D'Angelo Russell again in the game against each other, and Russell just ruined my life with 33 real life points and 55 fantasy points, and quickly
he was on fire in that game.
I don't even know what he did, but nonetheless,
I think just for what it's worth, he said he made 6 out of 11 threes. I think he made 4 or 5 in the first quarter. So
yeah, so I guess I like him. I like Davis. And New Orleans, I just want to point something out. I mean, again, it's can be very obviously can be somewhat frustrating, but just wanted to show you something. And you knew this already, but like Jonas Valanciunas in his last game had 34 fantasy points in 21 minutes. Okay, like this is what he does and can do. I don't know what it's going to take to get him to play the minutes, though. You know what I mean? Like.
I just think we have to just accept it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know. Even in this last game, I mean, he didn't even get into foul trouble or anything. It just wasn't a part of it. And with Nance back, that certainly doesn't help his cause, Right. So I might take. Listen, if Ingram's out, by the way, I listen. I don't know if he's going to be out, whatever. But if he is, kind of hard to not play McCollum for me.
Oh, for sure.
So. Yeah, but I want you to talk me into something though. I mean, like, is Davis okay even with D'Angelo Russell like playing and like getting a lot of usage?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look, I'm not going to say that. Yeah, there's ways, of course, that it gets around him, but like, I mean, we were playing Davis at this price over the past years with LeBron, so okay. I'm not going to worry about D'Angelo Russell. I know Davis had a couple of duddy games. I'm not worried about it. I think that he has a big game here. The Knicks did a really good job on him in that game, by the way. I actually watched that. They did a really, really nice job defending him, basically sending everybody at him. And that's your Davis fail path is like they send everybody at him, and because of it, he's not the guy who beats you. It's he gets hockey assists or something like that. But I'm not gonna let it hold me back. I do like Davis in this game. It's hard with Jokic and Shea also being great spend ups, but hey. Those are the guys I like, and if I'm able to make multiple lineups tonight, I will definitely have multiple Davis Ingram lineups in there if Ingram plays.
Orlando, San Antonio, and then we'll go back to the this is probably the least exciting game for me. Wendell, well, I don't know. Is Wendell Carter a bad play?
No.
At 5K? I mean, 6,300.
Is Devontae Graham
last game? Is Devontae Graham a terrible play at 5K? I don't know. I guess Wendell Carter would be the only real guy I'd want to play for this game. And I'm just looking at my numbers here, and nobody really seems to stand out. Vassell, I guess, okay, but I think Wendell Carter is very reasonable.
Yeah, there's everybody there's a bunch of guys on this team that's also like if they were last pieces, I wouldn't mind Wendell Carter, Markelle Fultz, Paolo. You do have Franz as questionable, by the way. That sort of opens everybody else up. I really like Jalen Suggs, by the way, has been put up two nice games in a row. This is a good matchup. Cole Anthony, you take a shot on. Everybody feels like, okay, if I had to end up with somebody, I don't mind I don't mind it, but certainly nobody I'm prioritizing from Orlando. And San Antonio, I know you're supposed to look at and say Devontae Graham is the play and Devin Vassell, and I just feel so shaky about all of it. But if I knew Keldon Johnson or Sohan was out, I'd be very into both those plays. With both of them playing, I don't know if I would be. So hopefully we'll have that news a little bit more before 6 Eastern or 6:30 Eastern, more like for me. But I don't know, man. I'm having trouble buying into the San Antonio side as much as I guess not even that we're supposed to, just that it looks pretty good. I do think Devontae Graham is definitely the best play on the Spurs, and I by the end of the day he may even be a priority for me because they are giving him minutes, but it's something about it just feels a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it a little bit. The guy's put up 30 or more, 3 out of his last 4. Maybe I just play Devontae Graham. Did you say anything about the San Antonio guys?
Yeah, I really don't like anything from the game. Maybe it's Devontae Graham at 5K, but really it's just Carter and nothing from the whole game, honestly.
Okay, I might go back to the Graham to sell thing. All right, so we go back. Let me just refresh the projections because I am curious what Washington is going to have here, and I think that's going to make this game look very, very stackable. Okay. So, Sheets, do you want to start it off real quick? Because the projection numbers seem to be accurate or getting closer to accurate, but the ownership is not going to be accurate. So, and this is probably the game you most have to get right of all the games on the slate, right?
First of all, one of the things that SaberSim is upgrading, I think it upgraded already. I didn't really double check it. Is they're going to do a little bit of a better job refreshing the ownership projections after guys get ruled out and the actual projections change. They addressed that in like a video they did like yesterday, the day before, and hopefully that actually occurs. The other thing is that the one bit of news, at least let's start from the Detroit side. I mean, you still have Jaden Ivey, who hasn't been ruled out yet. I mean, he's questionable. It's COVID protocol, so who knows? But if he's out again, then the same dudes from yesterday remain in play. Killian Hayes.
I have him as out, by the way.
I'm out. I have him as questionable. Okay.
I think technically that might be accurate. I just think everybody's assuming there's no way he plays tonight. But.
All right. Well, I think the exact same guys are going to be, well, at least from the guard position, are going to remain in play. Omaruri again, 3,800 starting. Hampton again. Magruder again. I don't play Magruder, but he's going to show up as like a, as a decent play. And Killian Hayes, they only played him. Well, they played him a decent amount, whatever. And you saw what he could do. So I don't think the extra 400 or whatever they're pricing him up is going to make too much of a difference. And if they can keep the game close, like set, same thing. Then I think Killian Hayes is probably where you want to start, and then the two bigs, I presume. But these guys all got priced up, man. I mean, Wiseman 6,900, Durant 37,
and they're literally as I feared. Here's the problem with it. I ended up with Wiseman in a bunch of because he was my original build yesterday, but they literally just split minutes down the middle, which is what I was afraid of, and they both smashed. They both smashed completely. Not as easy a matchup, but still a pretty good one today. But can you really play a platoon center 24 minutes at 6,900 and 5,500? Seems hard to do. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Washington side?
Yeah, so with Kuzma out, I mean, Beal and Porzingis have to get upgraded, right? And they I didn't upgrade my projections yet, but even with Kuzma in. I mean, these guys look like decent plays. So if you are gonna see, I don't know if this is the game you necessarily have to get right today. I don't know, but because it's not like it's such a it was yesterday was supposed to be a close game. You know what I mean? So you were supposed to be able to predict these guys. This is going to be like a double-digit point spread, I think. So I don't know what to do with this, but definitely Porzingis and Beal are going to get upgrades. And what about some of the value is like, I don't see Morris being somebody who would get upgraded because Kuzma's out, and I guess Avdia at only 4K. That's probably going to look really good. I mean, I didn't look yet.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
I would imagine that looks really good. So I don't know if Kuzma being out upgrades stuff like Gafford, but I doubt it, right? So for me, I would say that Avdia would be probably the best, overall point per dollar play from the Washington side.
Yeah, and look, Avdia, one of Beal or Porzingis, I think is a good idea. With Morris back and him, DeLon Wright, both getting minutes at the point guard, it's kind of hard to commit to that. I don't love playing Kispert. Occasionally, he'll have a 9 of 13 shooting night like he did the other night, and make me regret that. I'm not really gonna ever regret it. I actually want to just make a quick point on Magruder. I think this is a better night to play him than last night, even though he had a good night last night. We had so much other value, and for a low usage guy and all this stuff, he's going to play a ton of minutes. His usage has actually been better, but 3,500. I mean, I'll take that shot on him in this game. What I've got is playing Hayes or Hampton. But by the way, we have 3 questionable tags on the Detroit side, which means they might have to be playing G Leaguers by the time this starts. Because Duran, Livers, and Wiseman are all questionable, so keep an eye out for that. I like the Hayes, Omarui. Hayes or Hampton, Omarui or Magruder, and you could play these guys together. That's just how I'm dividing them up. And then on the other side, one of Beal or Porzingis, and then definitely Denny Avdia as the priority. But I do think this is a game where I'd like to get a little bit of a stack going. And as good as Washington is when they have all their guys, when any one of those guys creeps out, they lose every game. And I'm not saying they're going to lose tonight. They're probably going to wax Detroit. But even if they wax Detroit, people are going to have to play minutes. You know what I mean? There's almost no way I'm making lineups without Detroit guys at the moment, unless we hear somebody's available that we didn't expect later on.
So tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to do the live sweat or whatever it is.
Live sweat.
Boy, I'll tell you this: that today would be a nice day for it. Look at these last 2 games, huh? So. Yeah. If you didn't like any or all of that, you have all kinds of upside. You know what I mean? You have Giannis, you have Chris Paul, Booker, and Ayton. You have Randall and either Brunson or not, and then you have Lillard. You know what I mean? This is a lot of you are not counting your money at 10 o'clock. Like if you're in first place, I promise you. There's way too many fantasy points that are up for grabs here. So which one do you want to start with? I guess we'll start with Milwaukee Phoenix, and you have both teams are coming off a back-to-back. So that evens itself out. I really can't imagine anybody sitting. I mean, how do you sit in this game? But I think if they were going to sit Giannis, they would have sat him against Sacramento. No, I mean, he's got to play. You know what I mean? All these guys have to play this game, I would think. Anyway, Giannis listen, it's a tough matchup, but I mean, it's Giannis. What can I tell you? So I do like him. Phoenix, you can go, listen to the same guys, Ayton, Booker, Paul. Why not? I'm gonna judge these at the same time. Then the Knicks, you can do the same thing. You play Randall and Lillard. I don't know. I don't want to mess around with too much in either of these games. But I think that the big fantasy point scores on all 4 of these teams make sense. I hate to analyze it that way, but
right.
Why don't you, if you want to just deal with them?
Yeah, I'll go through my thing. So with Ayton, in the Phoenix Milwaukee game, Giannis I have right there with Jokic. I think that they're both really good plays. I don't have a giant preference between the two of them. I do think that and I don't think it's a tough matchup for Giannis. This is not the same team that they were defensively at all. Ask Golden State about that. It's just Giannis for me on the Milwaukee side as even any interest. On the Phoenix side, I could definitely make an argument for Ayton, Booker, Paul, and I think they're all fine. So I think one of those guys, if I had to pick one, it feels weird to play Paul on a back-to-back. I think I would probably go Ayton just because the price, and Booker's a little too close to AD, who I like, but I do think that Booker can get there in this matchup. So everybody who sort of looks okay, but I don't really I don't know. I don't feel like there's anybody I need to play. Keep an eye on what happens with Chris Paul if we hear anything on the back-to-back tonight. I know they need to win games right now, but I'm curious what they do with them. And it might open up a weird campaign, at least placeholder. Although last night with Chris Paul, he only did play 30 minutes. So I think that if there's a sign that he's going to play again today, that's probably it. And he did play the last back-to-back they had the opportunity to play. So Chris Paul or Ayton, just because of the price, but I have no problem if you wanted to use Booker as a spend-up. I just like the other spend-ups a little better. And how about the New York?
Well, obviously, I mean, yeah, if Lillard is out, then that's something else. He was held out of Sunday. He was held out of Sunday's game, and if I'm not mistaken. No, actually, oh my God, what a troll. So Simons when Lillard was there, put up 34 real life points in 29 minutes, 42 fantasy points. And in the game where they held out Lillard, Simons did nothing. I shouldn't say nothing, but he only played 25 minutes. Very, very strange. I don't quite get it, actually.
I don't think it was strange at all. They just got smoked.
Yeah, I guess so.
They got
Anyway, if Lillard plays, I like him. If he doesn't play, then then everybody from Portland that we play with Lillard, you know what I mean? All those guys are going to be playable. And just for fun, let's see what some of these guys' prices are. Back to Sharp at 3,600, Simon 6,900, Reddish, maybe not Reddish, but Thibault 3,700. Who knows? But hopefully we get that news in a reasonable period of time. And on the Knicks side, you still have Brunson, who he did come back. He played against Sacramento, but then he sat. Oh, it says he's unlikely to suit up at Portland. Okay. So with him out, I don't know what my projections are presuming, but Randall showing up is a good play regardless. I wonder if anybody else from Knicks is showing up. I would imagine they would, but maybe these guys have all gotten priced up now. Yeah, quickly it's 7,100. And then, Quentin Grimes at 3,700. Maybe he shows up as something. But I don't know if I'd go back to quickly at 71 and Barrett at 7K even if Brunson was out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. I'm struggling with it, to be honest with you. I do think using Grimes as a placeholder is reasonable, just because of the price. I don't know. I might take a shot with Quickly. I actually think I kind of like that. Barrett also, I just feel like they're getting a little bit too little ownership. Quickly or Barrett, I think would probably end up being possibly a priority for me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. But a lot of it hinges on, as you mentioned, what do we Damian Lillard not being available. I don't care what happened the other time. This is a home game. I actually think he probably plays. But if he's really that calf's really bothering him, he's not going to play.
Right.
But it has to be really bothering him. If they want to make the playoffs, which this team does, they can't really lose games anymore. They need to try to. They need desperately to win as fast as possible. They need to win as many games as possible. The 31 and 37. They're 2 games out of the playoff spots with 14 to go. So they're going to be desperately out there trying to do their best, you'd imagine. So if he or Grant are out, I think you could assume that they're really banged up. As of right now, it's really hard to analyze the Portland side without that. And I guess I may have skimmed over Randall a little bit. I think Randall's a really good play also with no Brunson. So I have it rated quickly Barrett then Randall on the Knicks side. But I actually think, what about a little Josh Hart revenge at 5,400? That seems like it makes some sense, right?
I think I tried to play him the other day with maximum aggravation. Let me see. Yeah, he had 30. He plays 32 minutes. He just hasn't put up fantasy points in a little while.
But remember, a lot of those games Brunson's played. So
okay, fair enough.
You take away a little of the usage, and even if Quickly is active, he's not. His usage is nowhere near Brunson's. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and we know there's a ceiling, and he likes to play in the up and down type of games, Josh Hart.
Yeah.
Going back, to Portland after being there, it's not like he's going to score a bunch, but maybe he goes out there and gets a double-double because he's a great rebounder.
Maybe.
Boy, he is like legitimately like the best rebounding. We all talk about best rebounding. I mean, I guess Luka, if you call him a guard, really is the best one. But Josh Hart, just every time I look up, it's 8 rebounds, 12 rebounds, 14 rebounds. Like, this guy's just an awesome rebounder. Anyway, so as of right now, it's going to be tough. We're going to have to do a bit, do more breaking down later. I'm sure we have news we don't know about, but what we don't have is like even the value from the Detroit thing and everything. It's not like what we had yesterday, where it was just okay, you basically have to play 5 guys, and all the winning lineups basically had those guys. Like Ricky Rubio is currently showing up as the highest projected player, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. So I think we're going to see, why is Ricky Rubio projected? Did something happen since Garland and Mitchell are playing, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have him.
Donovan Mitchell is out.
Oh, well, there you have it.
Well, there's the slate changing thing. That is what happens when you're going on live. Okay, so.
Well, first thing that means is that Darius Garland's a great player.
Yeah, it means Garland. It means probably Garland,
Mobley,
Rubio, LeVert.
LeVert. I forgot about that.
LeVert, Garland. That's going to be hard.
There it is. One game slate.
One game slate. After all of that, I felt like we were doing a pretty good job going through it too.
Yeah, there it is. One game slate. There it is.
So LeVert, Garland, just for what it's worth, and Rubio will, like, 2 of those guys will probably be in all my lineups today as of right now. And then I also want to mix in some Mobley, because I do think that helps Mobley even as well. They run some stuff through him.
And with Mitchell out, now that brings the spread down, which now makes like Rozier even a better play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just be careful, because if Hall Neto ends up starting, that's the one thing that worries me about the Rubio thing. Is if Rubio ends up getting that much ownership,
right?
Real quick, I'm just gonna take a look, because they haven't played Neto, but he keeps projecting. Like, even the other night, he projected for like 18 fantasy points. He didn't play 1 minute. But right now, it seems pretty clear that Rubio, LeVert, and Garland are your main priorities on the whole slate of everybody. And I don't think you can. I don't think you have to play all 3 together, but I think you can. I think that ideally you play 2 of those guys together. And then I agree with you, Sheets. It's going to change my lineups, because I'm gonna end up trying to find something from the other side, which probably means Rozier or Oubre to go with Nick Richards, and all of a sudden, boom, you've got a nice little stack going. But unfortunately, that's going to be the chalky stack. So the other guys I like, just to go through it real quick, Avdia I love. I think playing one of Beal or Porzingis, Omarui or Magruder for value, Killian Hayes or RJ Hampton. I think it's very hard for one of those guys not to get there in Detroit, depending on who's playing. Quickly or Barrett, maybe considering a little harder Randall, but a little less interested after the Cleveland news. Anthony Davis, followed by Jokic, followed by Anthony Davis followed by Shea, followed by Jokic, followed by Giannis as the over 9K guys for me.
It's probably going to be I don't know if you're allowed to say this anymore, but they used to call it a Chinese fire drill.
Yeah.
At 6 closer to lock today. We're both showing up a little bit late, so.
Maybe it's a good thing. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? We'll see how it goes.
She's just like, I hope it's not a good thing. That means we'll have to do that every time. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
All right. Well, good luck, everybody, and let's crush it tonight.